political leaders, we have responsibilities to our people, and we cannot shy away from that.
President Buhari engages Senate President on security challenges facing Nigeria.
Digital economy. Nigeria seeks more opportunities from the World Bank and other international institutions.
National Assembly pushes for adequate funding for research and development in health sector.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the challenges of law enforcement in Nigeria.
For some time now, Nigeria has been battling with security challenges ranging from insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, communal clashes, as well as farmers' conflict. Kingsley?
Well, Juma, in addition, the country is also facing financial crimes, drug abuse, drug trafficking, and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons, among others.
And also of concern to the well-meaning Nigerians is the indiscriminate dumping of refuse, vandalism of public infrastructure, and frequent violation of traffic regulations, cultism, and other heinous crimes.
Well, all these rising cases of criminality, according to experts, are largely the result of lack of enforcement of laws, which is now threatening, in some respects, the peaceful and harmonious existence of Nigeria.
You're right, Kingsley. Imagine an SS2 student in possession of a locally made pistol threatening her teacher and other students in the school who could likely cause apprehension in the educational sector if an urgent step is not taken to nip it in the bud. This, however, can only be possible through law enforcement.
Indeed, there are out there a number of criminal elements who are either on the loose or roaming freely after committing some offenses that otherwise deserved punishment under the law as a deterrent to others. But of course, enforcement of the law is weak.
And some security experts and key players in the administration of criminal justice system blamed the rising wave of criminal activities to inability of the institutions responsible to enforce the law.
Now, this development has been attributed to a number of factors, and those factors include inadequate personnel and equipment, as well as I mentioned earlier, institutional weaknesses.
And so when are we going to ensure full enforcement of the laws? What should be done to strengthen the institutions to discharge their duties effectively? These are some of the pertinent questions and issues we intend to address as we discuss challenges of law enforcement in Nigeria on Good Morning Nigeria today. I am Jumai Yusuf. Thanks so much for joining us.
And I'm Kingsley Osadola. I joined my colleague Jumai to also welcome you. Jumai, of course, the reason why we are focusing on the challenges of law enforcement in Nigeria today arises from the fact that what we now regard as banditry, kidnapping for ransom, and even terrorism, they had small beginnings.
Yes.
And if the law had taken care of them by those incipient stages, we might not be where we are today. That you have mass abductions, and then you have the usual round of negotiations with the abductors. Once again, we welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. As usual, in the course of the program, we have our complimentary segments, and these include newspaper review, business, and others. For now, here is Tessie Omiri with the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Tessie.
Hello, Kingsley and Jume. Good morning. Morning and welcome to the morning news. Senate President Ahmad Lawal is reassuring Nigerians that the Buhari administration is genuinely committed towards dismantling obstacles to national security and stability for a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria, maintaining that the prevailing situation will not be the same in the coming weeks and months. The Senate President stated this while speaking to journalists after a closed-door engagement with President Muhammad Buhari on the state of the nation.
We had a very extensive discussion on the security of all parts of Nigeria and how we should go about improving the situation. We all have roles to play. I believe that between now and probably the next 2 months, there will be a lot of activities to ensure that we recover and secure our environments for our people to lead a very normal life. As political leaders, we have responsibilities to our people, and we cannot shy away from that. We would like to see our farmers go back to farms before the rainy season starts. And this means we have to secure the rural parts of Nigeria as well as the urban centers, because we need businesses to flourish.
Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello reassures on the safe release of Kagara Science School students as soon as the NTA abduction victims open on their experiences at the hands of the abductors.
We are still dialoguing, we are still reaching out, we are taking every available, strategy to do with the matter. In no time, we might also get the release of, these school children. The size of Niger State. Niger State is about 10% of Nigeria's land mass. It is really huge, and it's also dotted with so many forests. And the bandits and other criminals find, the forest as sanctuary, for their criminal activities. Now, because a large portion of these forests are unpoliced, unsecured, so the communities in those areas are left, on their own. And until, something happens, then we respond. And that is not really sustainable. We believe that, if we deploy technology, that can actually help, the manpower that is on the ground.
Nigeria is seeking broader opportunities from the World Bank and other united organizations in the area of policy and digital training for teaming Nigerian youths and women. This was when the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy received the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, in Abuja.
Within the period of lockdown, in the two virtual institutions we commissioned or we developed online, more than 200,000 citizens enrolled and completed their programs, and still the training is ongoing. And this is another area which we feel we need to be supported by the United Nations in any way possible.
The digital economy is very important, and we continue, as you say, speaking and engaging constructively, so that we can, ensure that success is what we are all going to be looking at the end of the day.
Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, is optimistic that by the end of March 31st, 2021, the implementation of extended capital component of the 2020 budget, which stands at 30% at the moment, will be 10%. The minister was speaking at a meeting with leadership of the National Assembly on the extended capital component of the 2020 budget.
The extension meant for agencies to continue to utilize the funds that has already been released to them. And we have made an assessment, and as of the first week of February, I'm afraid to report that the performance utilization of the extended amount was averaging about 30%.
And Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has assured members of the society who suffer any form of disability that the federal government is determined to carry them along in all its programs and policies as citizens with rights. The minister stated this during a virtual meeting with some members in Abuja.
I can assure you, a directive will go out to all television stations that they must henceforth have a sign language interpreter during all their programs, during all their news programs.
An effective partnership with frontline donors and adequate funding by government remain key factors to developing pharmaceutical products for the treatment and management of COVID-19 and other infectious diseases. These were recommendations made by members of House and Ad hoc Committee on COVID-19 during a review and assessment visit to the National Institute for Pharmaceutical Research and Development.
I want you people to catch this idea and run with it. Your organization, NAIMA, NASDAQ, if you come up and you you are all on the same page and you approach the private sector and you come up with very excellent proposals, I am assuring you they will fund you.
Provided some additional funding for the agency, which has gone into the procurement of equipment. That process is still ongoing, and at the end of that process, we'll provide the feedback on that.
Nigeria will soon receive the first batch of 4 million doses of AstraZeneca vaccines to inoculate the population against COVID-19. PTF Chairman and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, who announced this at Monday's briefing, appealed to Nigerians not to procure uncertified vaccines from the black market.
Vaccines remain critical in the battle, but we must remain well informed. The multi-sectoral machinery will be deployed to enhance the logistics to the last mile administration processes that have been put in place.
When the vaccine arrives the country, NAFDAC will still take samples for assessment before we commence COVID-19 vaccination.
Update on COVID-19. Nigeria records 542 new infections of COVID-19 in the country. In the new figures released by NCDC indicates that Lagos has the highest with 99 new cases, followed by Kwara State with 91, then Ebonyi with 48. Ogun State recorded 44, Kaduna 42. Oyo State recorded 33, Ondo 25, FCT 24, Kebbi has 23, Osun 20, and Ekiti recorded 17. Also with new infections are Nasarawa with 12, Imo State 11, Delta 10, Gombe has 9, Kano recorded 8, Katsina and Rivers have 7 each, Edo has 5, Plateau 4, while Bauchi has 3 new cases. For now, Nigeria has 152,616 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 129,300 patients treated and discharged, while 1,862 patients died of the virus, unfortunately. And that concludes the morning news highlights. Good morning continues with Kingsley and Jumwe after this break. Good morning.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
It's called Oja Village. Kadesi, we no happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that's why I talk with that now.
Not for me. Not for me because of Pamio.
In my house, we may look alike, but we are very different individuals. My adorable twins, They look so alike, but they don't like wearing the same things. And my little man, I had to find out the hard way because I've been trying to teach him my way. He loves to learn his own way because doing things his way is more fulfilling. Everybody believes their way is best. That's why Golden Penny Pasta is our favorite meal because due to its non-stickiness, it allows me to satisfy everybody just the way they want it.
Golden Penny Pasta, made with durum wheat, is tasty, nutritious, a source of protein and fiber, and non-sticky. So you can cook, serve, and eat your pasta just the way you like it. Go on and enjoy your Golden Penny Pasta the way you want it. With Golden Penny Pasta, your way is best.
Shola, come and help me. You need to learn.
But I'm more interested in drawing.
How are you going to be part of the business if you don't learn?
You just don't understand.
Morning. Anyone for some Lipton?
The rich taste of Lipton awakens body and mind.
Let me have a look at your drawings. Son, these designs are amazing.
Lipton Yellow Label Tea. Awaken to what really matters.
Welcome back. Development experts advocate more involvement of public and private sectors in turning waste to wealth. Let's join Kunle Ade for details.
With plastic and nylon being used to package most consumables, coupled with people's attitude in disposing refuse improperly, most waterways and some streets are now being littered with plastic. This has now generated a plastic waste crisis with consequences like environmental hazards if adequate measures are not introduced to tackle it. A waste-to-wealth expert, Gideon Olariwaju, said sensitizing the populace on economic and environmental benefits by recycling will lead to employment generation.
Is to champion the recycling activities. Now, a huge chunk of that recycling activities is creating environmental education on sustainable waste management practices. You can recycle, keep your bottles, and at the same time get reward in exchange. If you make that a conscious effort, at the long run it becomes an unconscious effort, and before you know it, people are embedded in the practice of ensuring that they can promote or practice sustainable waste management behavior.
He also advocated for partnership with research institutes. And quickly to the details of Monday's tradings, February 22, 2021, on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Many thanks, Kunle Adeyeye, for the business news. Coming up next for us now is Newspaper Review.
Newspaper reviewer Bayo Toby is seated in the studio. Good morning, Bayo.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning, Kinsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good to see you.
Yes, let's now begin with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Just below the masthead, we have Nigerian runoff Bazoum in early lead. You find details on page 33. NEDC donates 40,000 school chairs to Borno. Details on page 6. Fake COVID-19 vaccines in circulations. That's from the federal government, and you find details on page 26. Fake COVID-19 vaccines in circulation. That's attributed to the federal government. And the bold headlines we have in the Daily Trust newspaper today: Borno attack, hundreds trapped as Boko Haram hoist flags in Marte. With kickers, military must act fast to avoid indoctrination. That's coming from experts. I am confident troops will reclaim Marte, attributed to Governor Zulum. 5 IDPs slaughtered in Damboa. And the picture story we see there, some of the 53 passengers recently kidnapped on the Kantogora-Mina Road released on Sunday. At the bottom plate of the Daily Trust newspaper, we saw hell in captivity. Freed Niger passengers. You find all the details on page 26. Kano roads deserted as tricycle riders police clash. On page 6. Pilot of crashed plane in Abuja to refuel. That's coming from the Nigerian Air Force. And you find the details on page 33. Customs begin 30% reduction in vehicle duty. I take that again. Customs begins 30% reduction in vehicle duty. You find all the details on page 17. Kingsley?
All right, we'll take a look also at the front page of the Punch newspaper from above the name flag. NDPHC sales agreement on power supply to Togo. Now, NDPHC stands for Niger Delta Power Holding Company. Details are on page 21. Families and friends mourn NAF pilots and others and recount victims' journeys. Kazama gave up studying economics for military. That's according to his associate. Co-pilot mourned American pilot Bozeman in December. You have details on that on page 9. Late story says division among bandits delays abducted Niger school boys' release. But you have 3 riders to that headline. Kidnappers still negotiating amongst themselves, the good and the bad ones. That's the claim by the negotiator. Fenifere, Ohaneze, and Middle Belt Forum carpet Gumi for advocating blanket amnesty. Why military can't confront bandits, Islamic cleric held talks with. That's according to an ex-DSS director. Freed abducted passengers of the Niger State Transport Service during their reunion with family members in Mina on Monday. That's the caption for the 3 photographs on the front page there of the paper. Federal government supporting agric, it must subsidize herdsmen businesses. You good at. Borno plans 5,000 hectare land for ranches and cattle grazing, page 7. Okorocha boasts of presidential bid, and 14 ex-aides get 70 million naira bail. Otom attacks Mohammed, calls Bauchi governor Fulani terror member. That's on page 28. Census board confiscates pornographic videos in Sokoto, page 5, and Senate screens service chiefs behind closed doors today.
Thank you, Kingsley. Let's start with the situation report at Kagara. The expectation is that the 27 students, 3 staff, and 25 family members will have been released. However, the Punch is reporting, like you read earlier, Kingsley, that there's disagreement between the bandits that is delaying the rescue. The Punch source said that the bandit abductors have not agreed with the warlords with whom the government delegation negotiated. Punch says that interviewed Dr. Ahmad Gumi, who said bandits are holding 42 peoples, 15 workers of GSC Kankara. He said the talks are going on among the various factions of the bandit groups. I am sure they will be released, but I cannot say when. They are negotiating among themselves, but he hastily added that they are convinced since they want peace and are aspiring for peace. Meanwhile, victims of those who were abducted in the Niger State Transport Corporation buses have recounted their experiences. They said that they threatened the women and really beat the hell out of the men. And they all the time were demanding for money. They trekked 24 hours daily, and the victims had no other thing to do than trekking up till the following morning. They were fed twice daily, and the women among them were cooking their food, and they drank contaminated water. He said their captors spoke fully whenever they communicated among themselves, but they spoke Hausa to them. The victim said the bandits have different assorted weapons, very sophisticated ones, and the bandits were numbering over 1,000. Kagara students were kept close to them. They saw them. They asked us to please forgive them, and we said we have forgiven them. And they said we should also forgive them too. Meanwhile, we said so that at least they can let us go. We rejoice with them for regaining their freedom. Meanwhile, the Senate President, after visiting President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday, says between now and 2 months, there will be a lot of activities to restore peace to Nigeria and security to the country. Senator Ahmed Lawan said that as political leaders, we have responsibility to our people that we cannot shy away from. We have to secure the environment for them